Hey everybody, welcome back to our movie review. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. As we talked in the last video with the How to Train Your Dragon video, we were going to do another dual perspective video. My brother decided to step out for this review. Nothing, just he just wanted to do his own thing. So I will be writing solo for this review, but I was not alone. I was with him when we saw this film. And just to give you his thoughts real quick, he thought it was good. At least how he said it to me in the car, he felt that it was simplistic, but yet had a lot to say in some regard. So that was his thoughts on that. But to give you my thoughts and to present the film which we're going to be discussing, me and my brother caught an early screening of Pixar's latest offering in the form of Elio. This was directed by Madeline Sharafin, Domni Shi, and Adrian Molina. So a plethora of Pixar filmmakers, some of which involved in projects such as Coco. So one of them, I believe, was involved in Turning Red, as well as what was the other film that they were involved with? Some little shorts here and there. Bao, Domni Shi directed. So it has a couple of names attached to it. According to the Wikipedia page, Alfred Molina was at the head of this, but he later left the project to actually go work on Coco 2, which is set to be released in 2029. And then these two filmmakers, Domni and Madeline, came in to finish the film. So this is the latest from Pixar, and this stars a couple of new faces here and there to the voice cast, but some notable faces. Zoe Saldana being the most notable. Brad Garrett, of course, also, and Jamali Jamal. I think that's how you say the name. This tells a story of, as the title suggests, a boy named Elio. And he is with his aunt, who is a high-ranking officer in the military. And tragic events had unfolded to his biological parents, and because of that, he is now staying with his aunt. And as time goes on, he develops a fascination about space and about the what if we are not alone in the universe. As the film plays the audio of like that famous NASA audio clip, I believe it's NASA, where they discuss about the universe and what if we're not alone? Are we alone? This idea of loneliness really starts to settle within the first few minutes of the film. In a quite literal sense and in aura, it starts to kind of really take shape. And as time goes on, Elio becomes a lot more fascinated, and he accidentally makes contact with actual alien life. And through events, he meets a specific creature that he befriends, and through this journey, he learns a lot about companionship and a lot more about himself personally and how he may in fact be causing a lot of the turmoil that is buried underneath, and what is preventing him from moving forward in life. So, as far as Pixar goes, it has been a bit of a up and down period, especially more or less a down period, I would say, for Pixar, because financially this film is shaping up to not be that much of a success. And as far as I've read, this is actually kind of a turning point for Pixar in terms of what they're going to invest into. So it is rather unfortunate given the kind of film that we actually have in front of us, because it isn't a film that is squeaky clean, but is a film much what the spirit of Pixar usually is to me, or at least the true essence of Pixar is. It is a film that is really, really hefty when it comes to its resonance and its emotions. It's a film that, for a large portion of its time, is discussing its ideas and discussing its thematic qualities, namely this idea about loneliness and about isolation, and having no real bondage to anybody, really just creating that of your own worlds. And in the case of Elio, the idea of him getting abducted in this, this place that he ends up this corner of the galaxy, it very much plays to that of like a child's imagination, to where they, if there's, for anybody who's ever been in that specific isolative state, some people create their own little worlds and they start to create own little stories, own little pieces of fiction, or just, generally with kids when they're at a young age, they start creating their own little stories in their heads. And it feels as though that very idea is almost externalized and being visualized and is being referenced and used in service to the ideas of what this character is going through, their isolative natures, their loneliness, and their desires to seek seek some kind of companionship, some kind of friendship, and what the barriers within that are within himself to actually creating those things. And the film represents that, I think, in very meaningful ways. And I found I wouldn't say very meaningful ways. I'd say quite simplistic in its execution, but the way in which it actually portrays it, and the way that it holds itself. Like a large time, I was feeling that feeling in your chest when you're trying to hold back, emotions. You're just trying not to get all like, wet-eyed and stuff like that. I felt that in my chest while watching it, and there's at one point where I did end up crying, and the point was actually realizing that, the visuals, what it was amounting to, and how it was reflecting that of Elio's character, and that whole realization about this whole idea of the universe being played within the confines of a child's imagination, and them returning to Earth is them now sitting with reality itself, escaping your imaginations and facing reality head on, and actually looking to make some progress and move forward in life. That's the point of when I actually cried, and realizing that that's what the visualizations were actually attributing to and meaning. And it really kind of put the film in perspective for me. And it's not without its how do you say, I forget, I don't know the wording, but it's not without its faults. There's some developments that I feel are rushed, specifically within the buildings of some relationships. It just isn't as genuine. There's like a point where he meets this little monster creature, and that's when he's like trying to forge a specific friendship. That's where he starts to learn a little bit more about genuine friendships. And it just doesn't really come across as genuine to me. I also feel that the relationship between him and his aunt, I feel, is also a little questionable in terms of overall presentation, because it's all to do with his perspective and less to do with recognizing the adult's perspective. So it feels like there's a stronger motivation to run away, to see that character go up with the alien ship. It's not that feeling of like, well, maybe he shouldn't or maybe he should. It's like we're almost completely totally with him, and there's not less of that other side of realizing why the adult is the way they are, and not just acting like a neglectful parent. But with those faults that are there, it just finds that Pixar magic when it comes to its emotions. And I found myself invested. I found myself intrigued. It does, like I said, does have some issues within its plotting and in some developments, but and also by just general design, it is rather simplistic in terms of how it is with what it's discussing. Again, it kind of just really whittles itself down to this idea of loneliness and isolation. But the way that it is explored, the way that they execute it, the way it's visualized, the way that those visualizations play to the character, it's a film that is about it's a film about about ideas, and Pixar's always at its best when it's about ideas, and I think Elio is definitely one of those. And I think, for my money anyway, it was a pleasant surprise, because I wasn't expecting much out of the film personally, but I found myself really encapsulated with it. Forget what the proper wording would be, but I just found myself just really into it, and I just found myself just wrapped up in it in terms of its emotions. It really did get to me. So So I think you should seek this out. Financially, it's not going to do much business. So I think that it's a film that worth your time, and hopefully you do check it out because I think that it's what I want Pixar to do more of, and not just going into franchises and sequels. A film like Elio is what Pixar should be, and in some cases is to its core. So yeah, so are my thoughts on Elio. I thought it was pretty good. Like I said, it's not perfect. Like I said, some developments, some plotting, as it were. It does feel at points a little rushed. It feels like things are just kind of like there's a point to where you can like Act 1 feels smooth. Act 2, there's just like okay, like it feels like things are just kind of moving in a certain rhythm, and then Act 3 pace slows things down. Like there is that kind of dipping point, and maybe that's where these new directors came into play. I don't know, but generally by just overall just how it's crafted. Sorry, I hit my mic. Just how it's crafted, by its overall mood, by overall study, by what it's talking about, and how it delivers those ideas. It just hit me, and it worked on that specific level. So those are my thoughts on Elio. You guys, let me know if you guys have seen it. It will be out, I believe by the time this video comes out, it will be out. The first screenings are Thursday. Me and my brother's caught an early screening today on Wednesday. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Your thoughts on Elio, your thoughts on Pixar generally. What are your favorite Pixar films? What are your guys' thoughts of the future for what you believe Pixar could be? Because there's definitely going to be a change in terms of how they make movies in the future, or what movies they choose to invest into. And it may not be for the best, but you guys let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.